All right, guys, welcome to another live stream. In today's live stream, we're going to talk about big tech plays, their recent first quarter earnings, and you know what plays look interesting. Now, like I said before, I think the crypto market will have its bull market first, and I think equities is going to trail. So I think there's going to be a imbalance in if you make some money in the crypto space and you take it out early enough, I think you could get into some of these plays, some of these big tech plays. So I'm going to share this article. It's called "The Good, the Bad, the Ugly of Big Tech's First Quarter," and it goes over, first quarter earnings. So let me share my screen. Give me a sec. All right. The good, the bad, ugly of big tech's first quarter. Let's see what they talk about. And I just picked up this article. I didn't read into it yet, so I'm not sure what they're going to say. It says the tech industry had a wild first quarter, from Nvidia's stock price continuing to rocket higher and higher to Google's botched launch of its Gemini image generator and Apple's antitrust battle. The first 3 months of the year were full of highs and lows, well, and even lower lows. Now, for Nvidia, I think Nvidia, like I said, they beat everybody when it comes to price. If we go to Nvidia stock, all right, so right now they took a little dip, but they had an all-time high of I think like 950. And people are predicting that it will go to at least 14 to 1500 by the end of the year. And I'm not sure if you guys saw the conference, the NVIDIA keynote conference, where the CEO was going over everything they're going to roll out for the year and then the years to come. It's a lot of promising innovation as far as like AI and the robotic stuff. So yeah, I don't see Nvidia slowing down anytime soon. Now, obviously, they have a 2.2 trillion dollar market cap. So, you know, is it a stock that's just gonna, if AI's the play going into the future, which I think it is, and it's gonna be as big as what people say it's gonna be, then this is probably a $10 trillion company, right, in the next 5 to 10 years. Depending on if there's competitors in the space, right? You have like TSM, AMD, all in the chip space. So they definitely have some competitors. I don't think they're going to take up the whole market share, but they're definitely the leader when it comes to this AI chip stuff. So yeah, if we look at the chart, when it comes to price, Nvidia has definitely beat Google and Apple. I didn't know Google was trying to launch a Gemini image generator. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's like some type of AI image generator. I'm not sure. I didn't hear about that. Apple's antitrust battle. I didn't hear about that either. But I know they came out with these goggles. So I know people said that I haven't tried it out, but I know people were saying that it was good technology. All right, so if we scroll down, it says the quarter was also full of surprises. Meta announced its first dividend payment and a larger stock buyback program, and Apple. Yeah, I did hear about that Meta was going to be giving its first dividend payment. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be a consistent dividend like your utility stocks like AT&T or Verizon. But and I'm not sure how much they paid per share. Maybe you can look it up here. Give me just a sec. Let's see how much they pay. Because right now, I was actually looking at AT&T, and I was looking at Verizon because I do want to get into some like later when I build my capital base. I do want to get into some dividend stocks, and obviously AT&T is one of the One popular dividend stock that people get into. It's been around, I think, since 1984. So 40, yeah, 40 plus years it's been around. I'm not sure if they were giving out dividends when they first came out, but the company's been around for that long. And I think the price right now is sitting at like $17. So, when you get into like a dividend paying stock, you definitely want to get into something that's been around for a long time that is going to continue to give you dividends, right? And AT&T and Verizon, they're like the big communication companies when it comes to cell phones and internet and all that stuff. So, and I think they came out around the same time because I looked at the, yeah, let's look at, and I'll get back to the article, but I'm just going with the flow. So if you go back to all, so AT&T or Verizon 1984, and then AT&T, and T, and then their dividend. Do they say how much they paid out for dividend? I think their dividend was 64 cents the last time I checked, and I don't know if they say it right here. Dividend date. This is the dividend yield. Okay, 6.25%. All right. Okay, so yeah, so that's for the year, right? So 6.25%, $2.66 per share a year. And so I was right. It was around 64 cents a quarter because they pay out their dividends quarterly. So 266 divided by 4, it's around 66, 67 cents per share per quarter that you would get. Right? So and they came out in 1984. And then AT&T has come out in 1984 as well. So they came out at the same time. But yeah, if you like, so and it says so. Let me look up because I was looking up how much Meta's, and so AT&T's dividend, it's $1.11. So it gives out like 0.10% more than Verizon. But the share price is a lot smaller as well. So you probably wouldn't be able to buy that many shares, or you buy less shares with the same amount of money, but same percentage. Meta's first dividend. All right, so Meta's first dividend was 49 cents per share. That's every quarter. So if we times that by 4, so $1.96 per share. But the share price, I think it's like 180 or something like that. No, 500. Never mind. So yeah, so you would definitely need to have a lot of shares in order to get paid out a lot of dividends for Meta, right? Because the share price is $500, where AT&T and Verizon, it's $17, and then Verizon I think sits around like 41 or 42. All right, so let's keep reading. It says the quarter was also full of surprises. Meta announced its first dividend payment and a large stock buyback. Yeah, I heard about the stock buyback. Apple did it too, apparently. According to Bloomberg, decided to kill its longest dating car program. I don't know if I said that right. Putting an end to an effort that would have catapulted the company into the automotive industry. Yeah, so I did hear about that too, where Apple was deciding to get into electric cars. They were going to put their technology in the car, which I thought would have been good, right? Because Apple has a good interface. Like when you think about the iPhone or the Mac or any of their products, is very easy to use. So I would that definitely. They have the Apple CarPlay too. So that whole thing is theirs anyway. So they already had the setup. I guess they just didn't want to dive into that now. Especially the space is very competitive. I mean, we have like Tesla is number one in the space, right? And then what do we have? We have, what's the other one? Rivian. We have, well, all the car, like every manufacturer, Ford, Honda, Lexus, uh, everybody's coming out with electric. So they probably just didn't want to dive into that and steer away from what they're doing on the electronic side, the iPhones, the iPads. But they did come out with those goggles, those AI goggles, I think it is. I don't know if it's AI, but it's like the virtual reality headset, basically. I think that was a good move too, because and maybe the automotive stuff is they get into that later. The thing is, I think they would have to build out a lot of stuff in order to make that come true or come to reality, because though I think the way that Apple functions, they like to have control of what they're doing, right? If you look at laptops, they control that space, in my opinion, because I have a Mac. Phones, they control that space. So even the earbuds, like they put out good quality stuff. So I think for the cars, they probably took a step back because sorry, because I don't think they could allocate too many resources. They have the money to do so. I just think it's going to be a big pivot, right? You have these big companies that have, you know, like all they focus on is that, and they're already winning in their space, right? So they probably don't want to pivot to that. And, like every year they come out with a new iPhone. So it's like they already have what they're good at. I don't think they need to get into the car space, but maybe it's something they do down the line. I'm not sure. All right. Okay. And it says, speaking of autos, EVs took it on the chin as sales fell off a cliff. And the Federal Trade Commission and the European Union's European Commission began sniffing around companies' AI investments and more. Oh, and did I mention Congress has revived efforts to ban TikTok? That is true. I was hearing, I was hearing that TikTok, they continue with the thing to try to ban it from the U.S. And I was just watching a podcast yesterday, and somebody was saying how somebody was making like, people make like 4 to 5K, like the basic, people that have maybe I think like 300,000 followers. They make 3 to 4 thousand a month, $2 to 3, $4,000 a month on TikTok. When their videos go viral or get a lot of views. I guess it's like they're paying. I didn't know that there was like a incentive program for that. I knew about the YouTubes, but I didn't know TikTok did the same thing. But yeah, I mean, that would be a hit for most people, because I mean, if you're making, if you only have like, and I say only, but I'm thinking like big following is like millions of followers. But for TikTok, if you have 3 to 400,000 followers and you're able to make 4 to 5K a month, that's pretty good earning, right? And I'm pretty sure if somebody's making that amount of money, they're probably depending on that source of income to pay their bills. So if they ban TikTok, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be screwed. But I did hear about that. So it says, yes, it's been a busy 3 months, and we still have 9 more to go. These are the good, the bad, and the ugly stories of the first quarter of 2024. Also, I'm not sure if TikTok is a public company. I think it's owned by somebody else out of China, and it's under an umbrella. I don't think TikTok itself is a company. TikTok ticker. Let's see. TikTok private company. Oh, BitDance is a private global company with roughly 60% owned by global institution investors. Okay. So yeah, it's basically owned by BitDance, and that's basically an overarching company that owns other things. And yeah, so they're not, but I guess it's not a private. It says TikTok cannot be considered a private company, says Australia. I don't know why they can't, because you can't buy shares of it. Privately owned, yeah. So it's private right now. You can't get any shares of it. I mean, if that went public, it would definitely. I think if it went public, I think the U.S. would try to buy a lot of a lot of shares, and that's the reason why I think they haven't gone public because if the U.S. is trying to ban TikTok and they go public, I'm pretty sure the U.S. would make some type of initiative to go out and buy those shares in order to take over the company, right? Because once a company goes public, somebody could take it over. They buy enough shares. You saw that with Twitter, right? Elon Musk took over Twitter. And I'm not sure if he just didn't like the way it was being run. I think there was a whole thing before Elon took over Twitter. There was a whole thing where like people couldn't post certain things or people would get banned. And I guess he didn't like that, so he ended up buying the company. So that I could see that's why TikTok hasn't gone public. And if they do go public, they probably would restrict it to maybe just a certain group, maybe just China or people in that area to buy shares and not allow the U.S. to purchase any shares because I don't think they would want that. All right, so that was the bad, right? So the title of the article, the good, the bad. Oh no, we haven't even got so the good. All right, so the good. Let's kick things off with the good news for the tech industry in the first quarter. First up is NVIDIA, which continues to dominate the AI conversation. In February, the company announced another monster quarter, blowing past Wall Street's expectations on revenue and earnings and beating out anticipated revenue for the current quarter. Shares of NVIDIA are up 89% year to date and 226% over the last 12 months. And in March, the company debuted its new Blackwell AI processor architecture during its GTC conference. Yeah, so like I said, during their keynote conference that was just like a couple weeks ago, the CEO announced that they were coming out with their Blackwell AI chip. This chip is basically going to allow, people that use the chip, tech companies that use the chip for AI to process a lot of transactions. And it's just a way more powerful chip. I don't know all the specs on it, but that was like the gist of this chip. I guess the way it's constructed, it's able to allow to add more GPU power. I don't know if I'm saying the right thing, and it allows you to process more essentially, right? And I guess with AI, there's a lot of computation because you could basically, like if you go to ChatGPT, you can ask it anything and it would just spit out an answer, and a very good answer at that. So in order to process these AI functions, these AI commands, you need chips that are going to be able to handle all the requests, right, that people send at it. So NVIDIA is spearheading it with its Blackwell AI processing chip. And they have so many partners. Like if you go to the NVIDIA webpage, they go to their partnerships. They're partner with almost everybody. So like I said, this company is here to stay. I think, it's definitely, I definitely could see it being a $1,400 to $1,500 stock by the end of the year. And maybe even more depending on how much interest rates get cut. All right. Or how soon interest rates get cut. Because we know we know they're gonna cut them. We just don't know when, or we have a good idea of when, but we don't know how much they're gonna cut them by, and how many. I think they said 3 times this year, but my prediction is that it's gonna be 75 basis points or to one to one, 75 to 1. So like 0.75% or or a whole percent in that range. All right. So which felt like more than a party than a developer event. Yeah. It did look like a party. Also, this quarter, Intel and the White House announced that the chip maker is getting $8.5 billion in CHIPS acting fund to help build out its chips manufacturing, research, and development facilities at plants across the U.S. That's interesting, right? So these companies are getting funding for, and you kind of saw it too with the EV space. Like when Tesla first came out, I think you were getting, and it might still be the case, but you get like a deduction or a rebate for buying an electric vehicle. I don't know if they've reduced that now, but it looks like they're doing the same thing with AI. It looks like when there's like a technology that comes out and there's like a big player in the space like NVIDIA or Intel, they get these funds, or the government provides these funds to them to help them build out stuff. Now, is it for free? Right? I don't think people are just going to give out money for free. I think it comes with stipulations. Maybe later on, these companies, you know, when it's election time or whatever the case may be, we're coming on to an election time, they support, certain candidates, whether it's one side or the other side. I'm not sure. But I don't think people are just giving out money, 8.5 billion out for free, right? Pretty sure there's some stipulations to that. stipulations to that. To help build out chip manufacturing and research development facilities, plants across the U.S. The cash from the CHIPS Act is meant to revitalize the U.S. semiconductor industry, and with the Intel starting to build chips for the third-party companies like Microsoft, it should benefit handsomely from the funding. All right, so they're basically saying that the reason why they're investing in the U.S. is investing in these chip companies is that it's going to help the U.S. economy grow. But I think there's some other stuff behind that. All right, so Apple, meanwhile, made headlines for its ending its electric car project, according to Bloomberg. The company is going to transition a number of employees who worked on the car to its AI division at a time where Wall Street is looking for signs that the iPhone maker is taking the generative AI trend seriously. Killing the project also means that AI will avoid what could have been costly rollout amid a slowdown in electric vehicle sales in the US. Yeah, so again, we have seen a decline in electric vehicle sales, and I'm not sure. I think because they're very expensive. Like if you go look, I mean, maybe Tesla compares to a normal car. I think all cars in general are just getting more expensive. So I could see why they held back. And again, they're the leaders in the phone space, laptop, iPad, earphones, the little goggles, whatever. So I think it was good, especially for shareholders, and maybe holding out on that, because you don't want to roll out a project when demand is down. Now they do have the name for it, so I feel like if they did roll it out, you definitely have buyers. But I guess they're trying to make it a quote unquote success, and I'm pretty sure they have like numbers that they specifically wanted to hit, and they didn't think they could hit that, so that's why they canceled that car project. All right, it says finally, Meta announced during its first quarter earnings report that it will begin paying a quarterly dividend of 50 cents per share. And we said 49 cents, I think. So it's close. And authorized an additional 50 billion for stock buybacks, sending shares to the company skyrocketing, right? So anytime the company is trying to buy back shares, it's because they have confidence that the company is going to do good in the future. And also the fact that they're providing dividends, it also just shows that, okay, Meta is going to be here to stay. And I believe so too, right? So it's Instagram, Facebook. I'm not sure what other company is under that umbrella, but and then also they're just diving into crypto. They're diving into AI. They're diving into, and I think they are partnered with Microsoft too. So yeah, the fact that they're giving out a dividend just suggests that they believe the company will be doing good in the future. So let's pay out the shareholders. But also, I think it's a $1 trillion company. Let's check. I think Meta is $1 trillion company. Yeah, 1.29 trillion. So maybe, right, they declined the car. Oh no, that was Apple. But they're paying out a dividend, so maybe they're saying, okay, we don't think this is. I would definitely not invest in Meta if I want growth, because the fact that they're paying out a dividend says, okay, we reached a point where we're gonna have consistent income, like our income stream is gonna keep coming in. But as far as the growth, I don't know if the growth of Meta is going to be, like it was in the beginning, right? Because I think the companies reach a point where it's like, yeah, we know we have customers, we know we're gonna make money, and we're gonna make money for the foreseeable future, because the internet's not going away. People want to be on Instagram. People want to be on Facebook. Facebook has fallen off a little bit, but you still have Facebook Marketplace. They're doing different things with that. So they've sustained a revenue model that it's going to work for the foreseeable future, and they continue to keep up with technology as far as AI, blockchain, and all this other stuff. So, but I don't think it's going to have that crazy growth like you see with Nvidia, right? Nvidia is just tapping into that new AI space. They're running the chips that are going to power the AI processing. So that company, even though it's big, I think it has way more growth potential than Meta, right? And the fact that they're giving out a dividend shows like, okay, we're gonna continue to grow, but not as much. So, but since we're gonna do that, let's start paying out dividends, right? And dividends also attract more investors. So that'll pump their price a little bit, but nothing too crazy. It's just gonna get more investors into the space, right? All right. So the ugly. We already talked about all this Google and stuff like that. Nothing as bad as these stories, though, up to the Department of Justice antitrust law against Apple. The DOJ claims Apple is boxing. Sorry, I lost track. Boxing out competition, hurting developers, and ultimately consumers by keeping a tight grip on its Apple Store and hardware. According to the suit, Apple locks competitors out from being able to access features that will let them take on the Apple Wallet and Apple Watch. Apple refused the claims, but the suit could take years. I don't see how that's the case, right? Like, unless people don't know, yeah, I mean, well, like, that is true. Nobody else has anything like the Apple Wallet unless there's like a patent that says, okay, Google can't have its own Google Wallet. I'm not sure if Google does have its own Google Wallet. And maybe they're not talking about Google. Maybe they're talking about some other competitor. But yeah, Tesla, Elon Musk filed a lawsuit on his own against OpenAI. The company he co-founded claimed that the AI firm has abandoned its original mission to create AI technology that benefits humanity. Musk says that OpenAI is more focused on the profits and is a subsidiary of Microsoft. OpenAI has fired back, refuting Musk's claims and saying that he's more or less upset that he missed the boat on the company's explosive growth. Yeah, that's right, because Elon was part of that. And also the fact that Tesla right now, the stock price is not doing too good, but I think it's going to be a good play in the future, Tesla. Finally, their electric vehicle market sales of EVs are slowing. Yep, it's slowing down. So, yeah, maybe he's suing because his company's not doing too good. I wouldn't even say not doing too good. It's just not doing as good as the AI plays. But, I mean, Tesla is basically AI, right? Like, the car itself, all the stuff it does, the self-driving and whatnot. All right. Don't miss. Amazon is reporting to look to reduce office vacancies and save $1 billion by letting leases expire. Yeah, a lot of people are going remote. Oh, that's another one. That's just not even part of it. All right, so that's the end of the article. Yeah, so the takeaway for the article is that big tech, there's good news and bad news as far as, people doing lawsuits, companies coming out with dividend earnings, and then the growth potential for some of these big plays. I think they're all still good plays for the long term. Nothing for like growth. Again, I definitely would not. Meta would be hard to get into for dividends because it's a $500 stock. So you would definitely need to put some money in order to get a decent dividend to sustain like your expenses each month. But yeah, there's definitely a lot to keep up with as far as the AI space. I think big tech is going to be changed. It's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of changes because of AI, and we're going to see a lot of growth. I would definitely try to focus on companies that are 2-3 notches below this. For instance, for Nvidia, you have like TSM, which is still a big company, but it's lower, but it's like second. You want to look at like the companies that are runner-ups for these because those are probably going to provide the biggest growth opportunities. And yeah, I think the big tech space definitely here to stay, and the AI revolution is going to make one of these companies the top company. Nvidia looks like it's like strong candidate to be the number one company. That it's probably going to be worth. I don't know if it's the number one company now. I think it's between that and then something else. But we'll see. Depending on which one of these companies adopt the new technology and expand their consumer base, is going to be the winner, right? Or we might have another company come up. Who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much it today. That's the article that I want to go over, and I will see you guys on Friday. Take care.